Women in construction, there they are. Yeah, women rock in construction. Let's hear it for them.
Labor's got positive plans. We've got positive plans for renewable energy and jobs.
About 2 years ago, I thought innovation was just a buzzword.
We often think about innovation as though it is only for geeks, if you like.
Renewable energy is not just a fringe industry anymore.
Each leader argues they're taking care of business. Malcolm Turnbull says his planned company tax cuts help the entire nation. But Bill Shorten says they'd widen the gap between rich and poor. As polling day nears, the arguments have sharpened, with the Prime Minister claiming Labor's economic plan is unbelievable.
The Labor Party is saying that they will run higher debt and higher deficits over each of the 4 years than us, and then in the 5th year, miraculously, like Houdini, they will spring out of that hole they have dug for themselves, that budget black hole. They'll spring back into balance. Well, you really would have to believe in fairy tales to believe that.
Labor's panned the coalition's company tax plan as a $50 billion giveaway and attacked its budget plans for being deceptive, as they include what Mr Shorten calls zombie cuts, policies that slash government spending but remain blocked in the Senate.
The Liberal Party's got fake cuts or zombie measures, which they're relying upon to improve or artificially inflate their budget position.
Labor's long criticised the government's cuts to spending, such as axing some family payments and the school kids bonus, but it rolled over on some measures during the campaign to keep the savings. The Prime Minister says, given that evidence, Labor may backflip again in the future on company tax cuts and other policies.
What political parties say they will support and oppose one time is not necessarily ultimately what they will do. I mean, you have seen the Labor Party has opposed many measures of ours at which they have subsequently supported or subsequently changed their position on. The best known of those is obviously the school kids bonus.
Within an hour, part of that quote had been turned into an attack ad.
What political parties say they will support and oppose one time is not necessarily ultimately what they will do.
And Mr Shorten elevated the assault during his National Press Club address.
It will go down as the defining moment in this campaign. The gaffe that marked the end of the Prime Minister's credibility. He said, what political parties say they will support and oppose at one time is not necessarily what they will do.
Just on your quote, which you say is the defining moment of the campaign, are you able to recite the sentence that immediately follows?
I don't have it with me.
I'll read it to you. It says, you have seen the Labor Party has opposed many measures of ours, which they have subsequently supported or subsequently changed their position on. The best known of those is obviously the school kids bonus, which they made an iconic issue and launched petitions and campaigns, and then they said they were going to fight it all the way to election day to restore it, and then they did a very quick backflip. Do you still stand by your comment as saying that this is the defining quote of the campaign?
Well, I do think the excerpt is. It goes to show you what sort of leader Malcolm Turnbull will be. Absolutely.
Mr Shorten's not the only politician to take a portion of a quote to suit a political argument. Both sides do it. In 2010, Tony Abbott made great use of Julia Gillard's election eve quote that there would be no carbon tax under a government she led. Labor's taken it a step further, claiming Malcolm Turnbull's criticism of the ALP is actually a big own goal on trust. Just who'll gain from this so-called defining moment we'll know on Saturday. Bill Shorten also used his speech to argue the government's over-egging the Brexit fallout.
The Liberals invoke it for a call for stability. But they fundamentally misunderstand the source of the instability. It comes from a sense of inequality, from people feeling marginalised, forgotten, alienated, left behind by global change.
Mr Shorten predicts if the coalition's tax plan is enacted, it'll have divisive consequences.
They want Australians to embark upon a radical, expensive experiment and trickle-down economics. We know how this story goes. Reagan tried it. Thatcher tried it. A generation later, we got Trump and we got Brexit.
The government updated its costings this afternoon, revealing a $1 billion improvement over 4 years to the budget bottom line. To pay for new policies, the coalition's announced a fresh welfare crackdown worth nearly $2 billion.
Automating and streamlining existing compliance activities, the more frequent and stringent reporting, the more thorough government income matching when it comes to testing and record searching and auditing of the detection of overpayments that occur within the system.
This government has a habit of announcing compliance measures with very significant amounts of money attached to them, but of course we would like to see a report on just how successful those measures have been in considering the government's current measures.
Voters will take care of the election campaign business in 4 days.
Aye.